Thank you for joining me today at Kentucky Oaks Day. We went to the Buffalo Chase for Kentucky Oaks Day. There is Patrick, Michelle, Greg, and Nikki, and myself and Janice. We stood in this line here for a good, we got there at 6, they didn't open until 9, so there's Janice sitting there. We brought chairs and we sit down and enjoy ourselves. We also walked around the area once we got in and noticed that there is a beautiful park, greenery area where you can take pictures and everything. That's what you're going to see. There's Janice and Nikki, there's Michelle, Janice and Nikki. The girls want to take some pictures, and then you see the background. There's a distillery behind it. It's all right there in walking distance. It's really nice to have. We had a great time walking around. There's, again, Greg and Nikki taking a picture together, holding their beer, or their Freddy's root beer. Janice and I with the buffalo. Janice kissing the buffalo, and then just also going to talk a little bit, the next slide here, we're talking a little bit about Thunder there. That's what they call him, Thunder. He was there. There was a wood one there, got struck by lightning, and all the ashes got buried underneath him, and they built Thunder above it, right on top of it. So it's pretty neat to read about it. It is a historical site, that the whole Buffalo Chase that we're at. Very nice area, very well maintained. If you don't get to see a tour, we did get to see E.H. Taylor tour. You'll see that in the video. But if you don't, the grounds are well worth walking around and seeing there. We had an awesome time on Kentucky Oaks Day there, taking so many pictures, enjoying it. Here's a little video of this, same grounds and everything. We walk up that hill, and there's a little stream going down. Pretty quiet, tranquil stream. You'll see that Janice and I, there's a Blanton's house there. You'll see that again, but it's really pretty to see. So we're taking more photos. This is the photo of the stream that's running down the middle of the whole park there. You'll see a picture of myself and Janice at the top of that. You barely see us right there. There's a close-up of us right there on top, and then there's a little bridge that we'll take pictures of. I believe it's Greg, Patrick, myself. There's Janice and I. We take, it's just nice to see, and it's just quiet day, just to wait for our tour. We're just waiting to do our tour, and we spent the day out there. There's Patrick and Michelle sitting by the stream. There's Blanton's house. There's a well right there, so everything's still there. It's still a historical site, so they try to keep it like it was back in the day.
If I take my hat off, I seriously can't. Here. Oh. Good thing it's felt. It's move this way so I can get your face, because there's the new building. That's the only thing. Tell them to come back for you. Tell them you want to show them something new.
So I snuck in a picture of Janice here, but you guys are hearing my intro, and it's of a bluegrass group here. Now you're actually going to see them. We got to see them at Buffalo Chase. That's where I grabbed them. I asked their permission to use their video music, because it's pretty cool. Just got aged, barreled. Look at all that. All the way down. That is all Weller. That is phenomenal. Look at this. Oh, that's cool. Look at it. Tell me when to stop. I won't tell you to stop. You stop when you want to stop. Woo!
He's like, you make my job easier today.
Will they stay on or fall off? No, they'll stay on. Okay. I got a new job! It ain't good. That's how they get them up. Look at that. We put one of these back to that 350, the white one out front. Please. Gravity takes this. Look at this. Right. So now you got me, Greg, and Patrick sitting there right next to the barrels that came up, and that's where I get to roll the barrels to it at that point. And then we get to go over and see where the barrels go into. These are the barrels that roll into the place. They roll that way, and you'll see where they go. They store them here a little bit if they need to. If not, they move them around to the rick houses, and I'll show you in a little bit how they get to the rick houses. But it was actually cool. Like I said, if you don't get to take a tour, you could just walk around and see that. We asked, it's not trespassing or anything. They were very nice about it. They said, no, go ahead and look. This is their old rick house here. You can see the rick house there. That's part of one. That's how it's not warehouses, rick houses. This here is a dedication to one of the owners of Buffalo Trace. Now you'll see it coming from the where we just were in that little small rick house. These are the big rick houses, and you'll see it. Excuse my finger up there. All at the top, it goes all the way up. So they roll it. It's just, they're not heavy, as you can see. I did it myself. They roll it up, and this takes it all the way up to the very top, and they go all the way up to the top and all the way around, and then they go in to the rick house there. Pretty cool to watch it live in person. That's actually a pretty nice thing to see. But yeah, they go up there. They're pretty heavy, so they don't move them by hand. I mean, it's all done mechanical. They roll them on the tracks. That's the only on-hand stuff they do. But they have a little forklift in there that picks them up and puts them into the rick house. But you see how that one's going all the way up, and you'll go around to the other side and back down again. You'll see that in about 2 seconds here. It should start happening. And it's really loud, so that's why I'm doing a talk over it, because it's it just, you can't really. Yeah, it's just loud. What's this one?
The 8th million. It says it on the barrel.
8th million barrel. All the employees sign it, and they keep it in there. They keep it right there, so they open it at a certain time when they hit I guess 9 million and voyeurs, and as they go. So it's like Fort Knox, it looks like to me. It just looks like Fort Knox running in there. Here is the countdown, and that is actually moving. So you're going to see it for 1 million, 2 million, 3 million as it goes through, all the way through it. But it's cool because that counter is moving. I just took a still picture, and it didn't do it justice through there. So we were sitting here, me and Janice taking a picture with the 8 million barrel. Talks a little bit more about it there. I wanted you guys to see actually what it said. So this here is a wood shop that they make out of the old barrels. They'll make alternative barrels like this one. They'll make you signs if you want. They'll do tables for you. You just have to pay for it. But again, we're part of the grounds, just walking around and noticing different things like this. And talk to the employees. The employees are really nice about it. So this is also the Weller Sun Bottling Hall. This is where they started bottling at. So, and now we're walking into Whiskey the Vault. They have a bottle from each barrel that's very special, and this tells you a little bit about it. But these are, you'll see the Pappies, every single Pappy, E.H. Taylor. There's some bottles in there from the 1800s. They're really, really old. And you'll see the new bottles that they made, you know, but they keep there's the Pappies right there, all of them, but they keep all those. This guy here is Freddie. Freddie is in a movie called Neat. He's a tour guide there in Buffalo Trace, and I watched the movie, and he got me really interested into bourbon. That's why we came to Kentucky to see it. And I was so happy to actually just to meet him for the first time. He's a really genuine guy, just like he is in the movie. He's the same way in person. I think he's like the third generation working there.
Where there's fresh water, and this 400-acre piece of property had an added attraction. It had been trampled, it had been cleared, it had been fertilized, if you get my gist, by millions of buffalo who crossed the river right here on their way to the Great Plains. It was called the Leestown Distillery. They were not making commercial bourbon. They were making what you would call hooch. And they put it in a barrel that had been burned on the inside to sanitize it and ship it to New Orleans, our nearest seaport. That product shook its way down the river, became this beautiful amber color that you call bourbon, and they started calling it bourbon because the outside of the barrel said, this is a product of Bourbon County, Virginia. It was not even Kentucky at that time. Now, 100 years goes by, and a man comes to Frankfort, Kentucky, sees an ad in the paper. Distillery, Leestown Distillery, 400 acres for sale, $6,000. That man snaps it up. It is Colonel E.H. Taylor, the man who they call the father of modern bourbon. Taylor was a visionary. Taylor was innovative. Taylor was the very first man to ferment in copper-lined fermenters. What did that do to bourbon? It took the sulfites out of bourbon. If anybody on this little tour here has ever had a headache from drinking bourbon, wasn't sulfites, you drank too much. The home and office of Commodore Richard Taylor. Follow me, we'll tell the story of Taylor. Office of a man called Commodore Richard Taylor. And believe it or not, Commodore Taylor was sent right here to this spot by General George Washington to develop a lock system on the Kentucky River, which is right behind that building. He needed this area to be more commercialized. If you've ever gotten off the main roads in Kentucky, you can tell we need some help here. It's all woods and trees and hills, and so that was Commodore Taylor.
My name is Colonel E.H. Taylor Jr. It's the year 1886. This is the story of the old Fire Copper Distillery, the model distillery platform where OFC was used.
destruction, fires, and flood after flood after flood. We knew this building had great bones, despite being used for storage for about 60 years. We thought we were going to turn it into a place for cocktail parties. But when we discovered we had unearthed bourbon history, we scrapped all our plans and called our distillery archaeologist.
When I first saw this, I couldn't believe my eyes, and as an archaeologist, I was a little apprehensive. Would Buffalo Trace be able to save this? Buffalo Trace did a 180 and actually started working to preserve this in place. So we found thick pieces of glass, piece of copper sheeting that came from inside one of these fermenting vats. It sat on the very top edge of the brick, and it sat about like this with the copper sheeting draping down inside the 14,000 gallons. Lots of brick, copper spigots, lots of nails, bolts, other industrial things that we're not even sure what they did, but they served some purpose in this building as it changed over time.
Those are not original gloves.
This building represents nearly 2 centuries of upheaval. Change caused by new technologies, market demands, the whims of politics, and the assault of Mother Nature.
Digging into these discoveries, we're starting to taste the past. We are understanding the challenges that the 19th century distillers faced, the discoveries that they made. We're actually recreating the 19th century process of whiskey making right here.
You are surrounded by the dust of history. It's our duty to preserve this and to honor the innovations of our predecessors, Taylor, Stagg, Blanton, Van Winkle, Weller, and Lee.
For Richard Taylor's original lock system, we still use it today. This, when you go out there, if you want to take pictures, but don't drop.
You'll see a picture of Michelle and Patrick, and then you see a picture of Gray coming up. So this is at the end of the tour here, and we're also at the end of each tour they give you a tasting, and we had Blanton's, Weller, and Buffalo Trace, and that bourbon cream is good on ice cream, just to let you know. And now you're going to see we came home with the bottle of Blanton's and Sakurai. It's their spicy rye bourbon, and my favorite, Weller. Now we're on our way to Horse Park. We went to the Horse Park on Derby Day, the next day. And this is the entrance to the horse park. Very pretty, very quiet. This is where Harlan worked at, and we're gonna sit here and walk through here and see some Man of War jockey right there, memorial for him. We're gonna go see that. There's a sign that talks about Man of War. There's Harlan walking right there with Patrick and us. And this next set of photos here, or video you're gonna see, is pretty neat, because Janice is trying to figure out the stride of the horse. So we talk about, there's Man of War and there's Sagittarius, their stride. Nikki is explaining to Janice what a stride is of a horse, and so Janice is like really impressed with it, because it's wow. So that's where they start off, and there's Nikki running around all the way over here. That's their strides when they race. So it's pretty impressive to see how far it is. So that's a regular person's stride, and they make 25 feet of a Sagittarius stride, and that's what they're explaining to Janice during this whole video here. They're trying to explain to her how far Man of War and Sagittarius, because Man of War was a big horse, and there is Man of War. That's an actual statue of him, and he is actually buried there. He is one of the few horses that they actually buried that they didn't cremate, and that's his actual size. That's Harlan sitting right there, and I'll let Harlan talk on the next slide.
So I get the concept of the strides now, but did Man of War have the stride he had? Was he taller than Secretariat? Was he longer? Like, what gave him that?
He was a very tall horse.
Okay.
And if you've ever seen the movie Seabiscuit, much was made of the fact that he was so big and Seabiscuit was so small. Seabiscuit should have never bit him. feet. And
He's just smaller. Was he just? Was Secretary very tall? Was Man
Was
of War
that-
very tall?
we're talking about Man of War. He's
Yeah.
extremely tall, big, about as big as a sword red gets.
Okay. Okay.
So what
So
did
closer
you?
to the size of a quarter horse.
Well, an average
I said
a big
closer.
quarter horse is 16 hands. He went 17 hands plus, I
Okay.
think.
And you took care of this Man of War? Is that, or you shoot?
I'm sorry?
What did you do for Man of War? Did you were?
Man of War here? No, Man of War
no,
wasn't
he's
here.
been-
Man of War's been dead for years.
Yeah, he was born, I believe, in 38.
Oh,
And I
okay.
think he died in '56.
I used to work on the farm. It wasn't a racehorse farm at the time, but come from the farm where he was born. And a lot of them remember him. You couldn't turn your back on him. He'd bite and kick. He never got me, but he got this girl on a regular basis.
Well, she kept turning her back on him, huh?
What, did he just bite you guys?
Oh, he bites and kicks both.
Oh wow.
From what?
Here's Janice showing me some pictures we took of her. Right there, like I said, Horse Park is very pretty too. It was a very quiet day because that was Derby Day. Everyone was going to Churchill Downs, so we chose to go there. Here's Janice explaining to me what the stride was, and a picture in front of the Horse Park. She had
He
a
was close to 16 hands.
16 plus. Yeah.
I was
Yeah, he was
telling-
definitely smaller. He's not even as long.
Yeah, I was telling them, Man of War, not Man.
John Henry.
John Henry was just common looking horse.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said that the reason that he won so many races is he was just too mean to let anybody in front of him.
Oh, you won so many races?
Yep. He was the winningest gelding ever until recently. And, purses have gone up since he was a running horse.
Wow.
Just so everybody strange.
Yeah, I didn't get you. I'll cut you out.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure that that's what makes them.
Yes.
So.
We checked. It's not his uncle.
So we took a picture of Janice and Sagittarius there, as you can see. But we walked to the grounds. That's in the entrance of the horse park there. And Harlan did work there for many years. I don't know exactly how many years, but it's been many of them. So we're going inside the main entrance and the reception area, and we took some pictures of Janice and the blue horse. And there's just it's pretty neat, touristy. But then we went into the museum. This is the beginning of the museum. They have some really nice horse museum there. This was made out of metal. It's actually really cool. The tail, everything, and it's all steel, I guess you would say. And the jockeys, there's little jockeys. That's how they made them. They're not just putting together. Those are jockeys on a horse. So that's actually pretty cool to see. The mane is made out of metal. Their mane is horses. They just did different things there. But it's called the Legacy of the Horse races at this museum. This next part of the horse park is called the Hall of Champions. It's where the Derby retired horses come. You can see them up close and personal a little bit. You can pet them. You can take pictures with them, feed them carrots. You'll see Janice do all that, and I got to take a picture with one. His name is basically Funny Side, and they're right there. They're talking to Harlan about his hoof, and they wanted to see. Harlan said he looked like he was limping a little bit, and they explained it to him. Yeah, he has a hurt hoof and everything else. It's because Harlan was a farrier at Horse Park here, and there's Funny Side's accolades. And you'll see Janice come in with the rescue of carrots, and she gets to feed them.
Robert Pennington. How about a nice round of applause for Mr. Pennington? Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your kind of trip down memory lane here.
West on the outside. Here's the wire. One on the west. Get up.
And no surprise, he wins this race too. Let's hear it for Wanda West.
Beautiful.
Since you put me on that shelf.